All right, good afternoon, and welcome to our mini webinar on how you can become a vendor with Cook County government. My name is Dr. Makiba Butler, and I am the Deputy Director for the Office of Contract Compliance Education, Outreach, and Strategic Engagement Initiative. We are extremely excited to start a webinar series that's titled Contract Connection for you all. And this is where we are going to be committed to bringing you various conversations that's designed to enhance your business, grow your business, or even scale your business. So be on the lookout for more really great topics that are going to be coming your way in the coming months. I do want to let you know that we do have a few of our certification officers in the chat, and they are going to be answering your questions as you put them in there in case we aren't able to get to your questions as we are going through this interview. So I am going to go ahead and get this party started. All right, and I'm looking at my picture and it's kind of dark in the background, but hopefully that will lighten up a little bit. All right, so I am going to be hosting this interview with our very own Deputy Director, Desiree Atkins. She is the Deputy of Certification here at Cook County. And so as I'm doing this interview with her, I'm also going to be manning our entry point. So hopefully I'll be able to do a few things at one time. We shall see. Desiree, how you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Dr. Butler. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you so much. So I am going to see if I can stop sharing my screen because I don't necessarily I think we want to have, there we go. We want to see you. All right. So let's go ahead and get this started because we only have about 30 more minutes before we have to shut this down. So, and I know we have a jam-packed like question load today to unpack, and everybody's coming to learn a little bit more about Cook County certification. So let's go ahead and get started now. So my first question for you. So go ahead first before we start, tell us a little bit about who you are real quick.
Okay, real quick. So my name is Desiree Atkins, and I am Deputy Director over certification with the Office of Contract Compliance with Cook County. I've been here for a little over 6 months. However, I've been in this space for about 9 years, where I also work with City of Chicago. I've partnered with the State of Illinois, CMSDC, WBDC for other opportunities that relate to diversity in certification and contracting, along with some of our local areas that assist with small businesses and entrepreneurs throughout the Chicagoland area. And, you know, coming over here to Cook County to help and assist with the growth of the program, kind of maybe branding ourselves to the community is really exciting for me today. So I just want to kind of give you a new glimpse if you've you know, worked with us in the past or partnered with us, or if you are new to the scene, just want to have opportunity to reintroduce myself and ourselves back to you and how certification can benefit you and your current business or potential future businesses.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. So let's go ahead and dive in. So what is the certification program here at Cook County? So give us a little insight in that.
So certification here at Cook County is a part of an entire procurement process where there is a compliance component, the sourcing of goods and services that's led through procurement. And then there's a certification of minority-owned and women-owned businesses that the Cook County has determined, and years ago, this is not anything new, that, hey, you know, we need to have some of these contracting opportunities to be diverse and include local business owners that are women and minority owned and veteran and those that are disabled or disabled veterans, so that they can have a piece of the pie too. Not everyone wants to always be held to work a 9 to 5. Many of us want to be entrepreneurial. We want generational wealth. We want to be able to leave a legacy. And so a program like a certification program helps to do that, to where you can decide what type of business you like to start, go through the steps to actually legally starting that business, and then becoming certified so that you can have the opportunity to participate on contracts that are through Cook County and other municipalities.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is this is an opportunity for minority-owned businesses to have an opportunity to get a piece of that pie, but they don't necessarily, business owners don't necessarily have to be certified to bid on contracts, correct? I guess we'll talk about that a little bit later.
So you don't have to be certified to bid on contracts, but my question would be, why not? Because historically, what has happened is that if you don't know someone who is going to bring you in onto their contract, or if you're not related, or if you have not, even though we encourage you to do networking, but the thing of it is that primes have been set aside to say, hey, if you're going to do work with Cook County, then you're going to need to have to meet criteria where you include minorities and women's and others like veterans onto some of these contracts, because historically it was not being done. And so the idea to have a program that not only created diversity, but in a way enforced diversity is very impactful to the communities of those that have been previously viewed as being marginalized and not able to have opportunities on contracts.
Okay, understood. So who's eligible for these certifications? We talked a little bit about the minority. We talked a little bit about the, women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses. Is there something else that you want to add to this about why this is important, or did we kind of hit that enough to kind of go a little bit deeper in our conversation?
So I do want to point out that, who is it, who are those who are eligible for certification? And it is, yes, it's the minorities, it's women, it's those that are service disabled veterans, but then also veterans. And then there are those persons who are considered to be disabled, and they're business owners. So oftentimes we only think about minorities and women, but we somehow, forget that there are other groups that also fit into this criteria, to where we're looking to certify those individuals as well in what they do, their primary scopes of business, and what they can evidence, support that they have knowledge and expertise in being able to perform on contracts. And again, why this is important is because you get to, there are contracts that are looking for vendors and companies that can provide goods and services that are hard pressed sometimes to find in several different industries, actually in every industry for the most part. And so those that are eligible for certification, we start with the demographic, but then extends out to how do you support that you are 51 or more, because you have to control your business. So how are you 51 or more % in control through management and operations of your business? And then how do you, and what documentation do you support to evidence that you control your business? So this is important because at any point in time, your certification can be challenged, even by a competitor. You may, so we want to make sure we have the evidence to back up what we're saying that you tell us that you are able to do and what you know how to do. So oftentimes it requires quite a bit of documentation, but it's all for good reason. And another thing, when it comes to getting your certification, although there are several documents that's involved, for one point being legal to set up your business structure, and then on the other end, being able to support what you know and how you do what you do in your industry. This also prepares you if you're ever, which you probably will be, going out there looking for loans, whether they're micro loans or conventional loans for your business. because you're going to have to expand at some point. And this is what our program looks to help our vendor community do. Expand by growing your business, growing in goods and services, and growing in your employees, and especially growing within your gross revenue. Everybody want to make more money. The only way that you can do that is by increasing your revenue.
Awesome. That's really great information. And I'm glad you kind of took that question and went deeper, because I think there's so many varying nuances to this whole certification process. And there's a lot of things that people don't necessarily take into consideration when they're considering getting certified. I do notice in our chat that we have several questions that are coming up. So, and I want to thank the certification team for jumping in there and answering those questions to the best of their ability. If we have time towards the end, we'll kind of scan through those a little bit more and see if there's any need for elaboration. But the certification team is doing an amazing job answering those questions as we go through this. So let me look at another question, because oh man, there's so much stuff. Okay, so you talked about why a vendor should seek certification through Cook County. What's the difference in being certified with Cook County and any other agency out there? Because we know that there's a lot of agencies. As a matter of fact, there was a question that came through about BEP and WBE and WeBank and all this other stuff. So there's a lot of different agencies out there. So what's the difference in being certified with us versus any other agency out there?
Absolutely. So that is an amazing question. So yes, we get this often because there are several different agencies out there that are certifying. And that's not to say that they are not valid or legitimate agencies that are doing certification. However, the goals may be a little bit different. When you get certified with Cook County, we're looking for you to be able to perform on Cook County contracts. And those include even with Cook County hospitals. So you're looking to see what type of contracting opportunities are available. We don't operate underneath the private. So there are some agencies that support private procurement, private contracting, and others that do both private and municipal. But Cook County, we specialize in Cook County. So our contracts are geared to the needs of the departments within Cook County, whether that stems from buying toilet tissue all the way to filling potholes and building, bridges. It depends upon what's needed within the county and in the user departments to where the procurement kind of begins. And then you source to see who can then perform on those contracts. So it gets into, solicitations and bids, but our department certification, what we want to do is make sure that we have a diverse pool of able, capable, and ready firms that can participate on these contracts when a bid or solicitation comes up. When a prime is looking to say, hey, I need someone that can do hauling of sand, or I need someone who is certified in IT because we're doing something with a new software and I need someone who can perform that. We need electricians, maybe even those who specialize in LED lighting for street lights. We need, someone who can perform in consulting because maybe there needs to be some training for the software that we're going to put in that another company can then provide on that contract. So it's an abundance amount of contracts that are available. But if you wait to the moment to where you see an opportunity, it's already too late, because the process is a thorough process, which takes about 90 days after we received all of your documents to be able to support that you are, again, 51 or more % in control of your business from the standpoint of what your company does and your experience to being able to manage what your company does, and that you are the minority, the woman, the veteran, the service disabled veteran, or the person with a disability who does then manage that. Now, we're not saying that you have to do all the work for it, but you certainly need to have knowledge base to be able to know what the team is doing, how it should be done, and if it's being done appropriately. So we're going to ask for documents that support that, and that starts at the initial part of our application process. Well, we provide a checklist. It starts with understanding the type of business you have. Are you a sole proprietor? Are you a partnership? Do you have an LLC? Is this a corporation? Having those documents in place and in order. Are you keeping up with your updates? And then what next codes are you utilizing? So all of that goes into play, and our officers, those who are answering your questions in the chat, they're looking at all that information, not just to do a check mark to say, oh, they turned it in, it was turned in, but they have to do it to understand what your business does, how it does it, and who's monitoring what it does. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And so that kind of segues into this next question, which I think is a weed question. We getting ready, not weed, but deep into the weeds. This question is going to take us a little deeper into, and this is really good. Like we have like maybe 11 more minutes, but this is a really good question because I think this is going to bring some of our attendees some insight into the whole process. So what are some of the challenges that your team encounters when they are reviewing these certification applications? Because I know you just said that it takes about 90 days once everything has been submitted. And that seems to be the hindrance at some point because it's once everything is submitted. And so can you just give us a little insight into what are some of the challenges that your team encounters in reviewing these applications and then letting the attendees know how they can avoid this?
Absolutely. So first of all, one of the major hiccups when it comes to what we find when we're reviewing applications is that we'll send out a request for information for clarification, and vendors don't always respond timely. So when they don't respond and so let's just, the lay of the land is that we got a little under 600 certified firms, right? And each of these 600 certified firms or so, they have to send in annual updates. Let us know, do they still meet the criteria? But we also have new applications coming in. And so I always say, we have no blackout dates. It's not like the airlines where you don't get all your points if at this point or the other point. So you can turn in an application at any point in time. But when you don't respond timely, then it holds up us getting complete with your file because we got to move on to other files and do them all kind of simultaneously. It's an arduous job for us too, as much so as it is for the vendor. But another thing would be if there is missing or incomplete documentation, please, it is imperative because it limits how many times we got to request information, and we don't request ongoing. We got to stay in certain time frames too. So we need complete documents. For instance, your tax returns. We're looking at about 7 years worth of tax returns. And let's say if I'm a startup, well, okay, I just started my firm, so I'm not going to have 7 years of business tax returns, but I should be able to have about 5 to 7 years worth of personal tax returns. And we need for those to be all in one cohesive package. If you give me individual uploaded documents for one tax return, so let's say generally speaking, that's 20 pages of a basic tax return maybe. And we need it to be signed and dated. Sometimes it's not signed, sometimes it's not dated, sometimes it's not signed nor dated. But if you give me 20 individual uploads, we can't make sure that we got the full document. We need the full document in one PDF. And we do this all electronic and online, which helps the vendor with easy access to their documents to upload and later retrieve. But it also helps us to review. So oftentimes it's about being responsive, timely, having complete documents, having the documents to be what it was intended to be. So not having duplicates. So if we ask for a driver's license, then or a state ID, then we're not looking for in that area for you to provide, and I'm just going to be kind of facetious here, for you to provide your, college ID or something, because you got mixed up in something else that you were applying for. Or, if we ask for your birth certificate or your passport, then we're looking for one of those two documents. We're not then looking for you to provide a perhaps marriage certificate in that area, because that's not what it's for. That all stunts the process, because now we got to go looking for what we had, or either we just got to come back to you and ask you for more information. And you're going to say, I provided it, but we don't know where it's at. So we have to get those back in. And those are oftentimes what holds up certification applications, not having what we need.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I can see that. So in response to, I'm trying to go back to something that you said earlier. So, and this is, we have one more question after this kind of elaboration, but so what determines, Desiree, like a minority for minority certification? Like how would a person know if they are, you know,
If
an
you're in a
appropriate minority?
classification,
Right.
right? So we define minorities, and we do list our rules and regulations on our website, and it does have definitions. So minorities are African American, Black, Asian, subcontinent Asian, Hispanic, Native American. Those are basically our groups that's considered to be a presumptive classification of those that have historically been economically and socially disadvantaged.
Okay. Okay. So we have about, I say we have about 5 more minutes, and then we have maybe 1 or 2 minutes for questions. Not sure if we're going to end up doing a phase 2, like a part 2 to this. It seems like we can maybe do like a part 2 to this if we need to. My last question, Desiree, is what's next for certification? So you have a certification team of about 4 to 5 people. And I think everybody here, it would benefit us all to know what's coming up for certification.
Well, we're actually making enhancements. We're always looking to find ways to make our program better. So from internal discussions to external, research and development. So we're looking at ways on how we can expand our program to allow for more vendors, but also we're looking to have, it's funny you mentioned it though, we were looking to have more I don't know if it'll be workshops or seminars or webinars, so stay close in tune to this, but we will be having discussions that go around NAICS codes. How do you choose your NAICS codes for your firm's primary business activities? Because that's what we're going to be looking to see, what type of background experience you have in that. And your NAICS codes is what your company does. For instance, if you're an electrician, there is an industry code, a 6-digit industry code by the government at North American, it's called the North American Industry Classification System. And that's what we use in order to pair with a description of what your company does for contracts. So we plan to have a something similar conversation regarding, how to choose those. Also diving into some of the documents that's needed, because some of us, although we start our businesses, we realize that they can even be created legally, but we're not sure of exactly what is needed when you're submitting for certification. So diving into some of those documents like financials, what they are and why we're looking for those. Diving into expertise and background. So we're gonna chop it up a little bit and get to where you kind of understand how we need to know what your firm does and how it does it, so that we can try to make sure when we're certifying a firm, we certify them appropriately, so that no one can come back and challenge the certification or challenge a contract that a vendor is on.
Okay, so I'm excited about this because I get to work with all of these amazing people and webinars and everything that we're going to be putting out to the vendor community and to the public. And so there's going to be, according to what Desiree just kind of, leaked a little bit, there's going to be some great webinars that we're going to add to this Contract Connection web series, where her team is going to, we're going to create some opportunities for them to speak about throughout their expertise, some of the things that they know well, get into some of the requirements that you need for certification, kind of walk you through what that looks like. So that's something that we're going to be getting into. This was kind of the preliminary, like the welcome with the basic how to certify with Cook County. There's a lot of different nuances in that. Before we end, Desiree, I know we talked about this earlier when I asked you, why should a vendor seek certification through Cook County? I'm sorry, what's the difference in being certified with Cook County and any other agency? Can you also, real quick, can you also speak about, so someone is certified with BEP, someone certified with the state of Illinois and BEP, someone certified with Cook County, the city of Chicago already. I think there was a question in there about that, and the certification team hit on that really good. But what can you talk about? What can you tell them in terms of that? Because sometimes people think, well, I'm certified with the state. I don't need to be certified with anybody else. Everything should be good. Right.
Great question.
Right.
Great question. So yes, so if you certify with the if you certify with the state of Illinois, wonderful. That means that you have quite a few documents that are already ready to go. And so we would just want to get that application in so you could be certified with Cook County as well and participate on those contracts. However, if you are certified with City of Chicago already, we have what's called reciprocity with City of Chicago. That's an agreement that allows for a one-stop shop, because our program is more closely aligned with a few different areas. That's not quite the same with the state of Illinois, because the state of Illinois was a more massive contracting agency. But with City of Chicago, you only have to be certified with one or the other, us or them. And you can participate on contracting opportunities with either or, as long as you maintain your certification with us. And the eligibility requirements for the other agency.
Okay. And she's already talked about earlier about why, because then the question is, well, because I've had this question to me years ago, well, who should I certify with, Cook County or the city of Chicago, because they have this reciprocity agreement. So
right.
Desiree's already given her insight into, why, certify with Cook County, obviously, because we represent Cook County. But did you want to say anything about that real quick?
Well, and it's really just based upon where you see your opportunities coming from. So I will refer you to take a look at the websites of each agency, especially for their procurement. What's in the buying plan? There's always a buying guide. We have one. The city of Chicago has one. And this forecast, it's about 15 to 18 months out, where you can see how closely you align. If you come out to say, oh, they're still about the same, then of course I'm going to vote for Cook County, child, because why else would you go anywhere else?
Right. So we're going to get that buying plan to you as well. So we have just a couple of minutes. I'm trying to look through the chat. Again, our certification team has done an amazing job answering these questions. I know there were some questions about where to go if you want to start the process, and that link was dropped there. We were able to work through that and get you the link. I don't see, we have the fee cost. That was, Desiree didn't talk about the fee, I don't think, but that question was asked, and they put the fee in there, $250 for the Schedule A application, unless you are a
veteran, a service-disabled veteran, or a person with disabilities. So if you are applying for a minority or women-owned business, it's a $250 application fee. It is non-refundable, but if you are a veteran, service-disabled, or a person with disability, there is no fee. And that is something that is a little bit different than the city of Chicago. Their veteran program still requires a $250 fee. So I don't know if that's something that you will be looking to consider. The other thing is that keep your ears to the grind, because we're having some updates to our program that's going to completely electrify the community about the duration of certification. So right now we have a 5-year certification, but I got some good news that's coming up. So if you have not provided your email address so that we can keep contact with you and send out notifications as we continue our enhancements of our program, then you will not get this wonderful information. I say wonderful from the standpoint of dollars and cents.
Well, that's
Okay.
always wonderful to a business, all right? All right, y'all. So we have about a minute and a half left, and I just want to go over some things really quick before we end. So as I mentioned when we started, this is a new web series that we're starting called Contract Connection. I have a lot of topics that are planned out over the next couple quarters. And I'm gonna be doing some interviews with some really integral people to your business growth, your scaling of your business, personal, professional development, so on and so forth. So make sure that you are tuned in to your email. Yeah, tuned into your email. I want to put this, let me see.
And really quick, if I could add one more thing.
Got like 1 minute.
Okay, so on our website, take a look. We have checklists for those that are looking to be certified. We have checklists for you to look to gather your documents, start pulling them together, get them in order, so that when you start our application, you can go right on through. And the great thing about our electronic application is that it gives you the percentage of completion. And so once you get to the documents, you're about 80% finished with your application.
Hey guys, so that's it. I put an email address down there. If you have any questions, send that email. If you want your email added to our email list, put it in there. It was wonderful having you, Desiree, and we'll be back soon, you all.